Hello and welcome back to the Limited Queue. Uh, Today we're hanging out here again in Prospect Park to talk about the baseballification and the NFT phenomenon and how it's going to affect Magic the Gathering. If you're unfamiliar with these topics, what it basically means is Magic the Gathering is going to undergo a change in the next 5 to 10 years, similar to that of baseball cards throughout the 90s and aughts. Maybe just more like the aughts and the teens. Baseball cards overprinted themselves throughout the 80s and the 90s, and those cards, even today, 30 or 40 years later, are mostly considered to be worthless. In the baseball card community, they're called trash wax or junk cards. What are you doing? Baseball cards in the 80s and 90s are mostly considered to be worthless today because they overprinted and there's no real value or individuality to them. There was no, just because you say something's collectible, it's not collectible unless people actually care about it. And if you print 1.5 million of them, then it's not that collectible. That's the whole reason why commons are worth less than mythics, right? It seems like a basic concept, but it's incredible how many sectors of the collectible market get that wrong and how many producers just print themselves into worthlessness on purpose sometimes. Baseball cards did that, and they realized for the long-term strength of the industry, they needed to pull themselves out somehow. So what they started to do was they took a hard shift in the opposite direction. They started printing limited edition packs, cards that they would only print a certain number of. So they started with sets that were numbered, like 1 through 1,000, and then went down to 100. And now, baseball cards as an industry, on the regular, the chase cards are one of ones, meaning that there's only one card like that produced. How important is this to the baseball card world? The answer is extremely, to the point where it's become the only thing that they care about. The top 3 most expensive baseball cards ever sold. Number 1 is the 1950s era Mickey Mantle. PSA 10 or Beckett 10, BSG 10, BGS 10, just recently sold for $5.2 or $5.3 million. Numbers 2 and 3 are both cards printed in the last 5 or 10 years. One is a card that was printed last year. The second most expensive card ever sold is a Luka, 1 of 1. I'm not sure if it's a rookie card or what, but it's affectionately known as a Luka. I'm not a basketball fan. I guess, you know what, maybe I should. I'm talking about basketball cards in a baseball card conversation. I guess I should just widen it to sports cards. It's not an industry I'm super familiar with, but I know more than the average person. So the Luka, which is a basketball card, sold for something like $3.6 million. It's the second most expensive baseball card ever sold, and it sold either this year or last year, 2020 or 2021. That's incredible, considering growing up, the Honus Wagner was the most expensive card, and then slowly Mickey Mantle kind of supplanted the Wagner as more and more Wagners were found in the wild. And now the fact that you have something that came off a printing press last year, or within the last 2 years, being the most, or the second most expensive sports card ever sold, that speaks to the power of the baseballification and what we're going to see moving forward with the Magic world. How do we get ahead of it? I'll tell you that in a little bit. But what we should expect, these limited edition arts, the secret layers, wait until they have, a limited run of 1,000 special art Lilianas put into the wild. That's going to happen. They're slowly but surely moving in that direction. So, say you had you have the regular pack foil, you have the regular pack card, pack foil, the 9 different variations they have now between full art foil, full art etched foil, old border. All that is going to go by the wayside as far as collectability goes, and they're just going to get more and more rare. That's how Magic moves up market, and that's how Magic follows baseball. That's how this is going to go down over the next 5 years. And eventually we're going to see print runs of 1,000 special foil, full art Planeswalker cards that are only put into set boosters, not draft boxes. And then those will be the chase cards, and those are going to be more expensive. And then they're going to narrow it down to 100. Then eventually they're going to get down to one of ones. And then they can go digital with this process. So, for example, if there are 1,000 codes that exist that make your username on Magic Arena rainbow colored for Pride Week or Pride Month, there's going to only 1,000 ever be produced every year to sell it, and half the proceeds go to benefiting charity. Yeah, that's going to go up in value. That's going to be valuable. It's going to be incredibly valuable. People will be bidding at probably at least $100 on eBay, and that's for literal digital nothing. So by making things more rare and increasing the collectability by going down to as few as one of ones ever created, like the most recent Luca, it's going to change the landscape of what we look at collecting Magic as and the benefits thereof. There's a few ways that we can get ahead of this. One, we can buy and hold sealed product from the era before this happens. So a lot of people are pointing towards War of the Spark because it was one of the last sets, before collector boosters happened. And that's a big deal. Collector boosters have changed the game. Not the game of Magic, but the game of collecting Magic. Collector boosters have made it so that pack foils are almost worthless because they've generated a new class of item that is higher than, meaning, you know, the full art foil, which is more rarely found in the pack in the regular pack foil. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but personally, I have put more effort into buying and holding collector booster boxes than draft boxes since the inception of collector booster boxes. Not only do they take up incredibly less space, which is nice, but they also have cards that are theoretically more valuable. A full art foil is going to be more valuable than a regular pack foil. It'll probably be like that forever. So yeah, I would rather put effort and money into collecting the thing that I think would go up in value most over time. So collecting War of the Spark booster boxes and before, I think, is going to be basically the next Bronze Age Magic products. The Bronze Age Magic products like Weatherlight, Boxes of Visions, they were really kind of around a few $100s until recently. When I say recently, I mean the last 3 years. So 4 years ago, you could probably get a Box of Visions or Mirage for maybe 800 or 900 bucks. And now, I'd be surprised if you could get it for less than 5 times that. But however, the thing is for 20 years, for 20 years, they were basically flatlining. I think that draft boxes from the modern era, meaning like 8th edition to now, to 2021, or 8th edition of War of the Spark, are going to flatline for a while, and then in about 8 or 10 years, they are going to have massive gains, similar to Visions, Weatherlight, or any of those late era Bronze Age boxes that nobody really paid attention to until it was too late. What am I thinking? You adorable Bash. So, you can get ahead of it. You can get ahead of baseballification by getting into sealed boosters now. They're just a few $100s. You know, it's $100 a pop right now. It could be nothing, and it could be something along the way. So if you get in for $100 right now, if it becomes worthless over the next 10 years, which it won't, but you know, your maximum loss is that it becomes 0, right? Then you lose $100. If it becomes something, or it could flatline and just still be worth $100 in 10 years, which is also not likely. or it could become something, and something is an $800 or $900 box in my mind, maybe 600. So if you were to put $100 into a box now, you have very little, in my opinion, very little historical risk of it being worth zero. You have very little historical risk of it being worth the same. You have very high historical data that shows that your box in the next 5 to 7 years is going to be worth $600 or $700. You can't find those returns anywhere else. There's no reason for you not to buy a sealed box of every single set that comes out. Once every 3 months, buy a box, put it in your closet, put it, you know, if you already have storage, just put it in your storage bin. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then all of a sudden, you're a Magic investor. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. Spend the money, do nothing. It's actually stupider than I ever thought it would be. Also, as far as my personal prediction is, as the Magic the Gathering marketplace becomes accustomed to limited product runs, the prices for the original NFTs, I call them, the OG NFTs, are going to skyrocket. Now, you're probably asking, what the heck is an OG NFT? That's a good question. An OG NFT is the original Magic art. Now, those art pieces of artwork have already gone from $800 or $900 each, even 4 years ago. Now, I'd be surprised you get one for less than $3,000. There are every set that comes out, there are pieces of Magic art that go up for sale, usually either on eBay or on the Facebook marketplace, MTG Art Market. You can Facebook it, join it. I'm not on the best terms with some of the admins there, but I do know people who are active in the community. OG NFTs, you know, the non-digital versions, meaning the original pieces of art that go into creating a Magic card. Once the market becomes accustomed to one-of-ones, once the market understands the value of a limited print run, over the next 10 years, they're going to go up. I mean, in my mind, I want to say 100 times. And I hope that's the case because I'm already invested. But realistically, I can say in the next 10 years, they'll probably 10x. Maybe. The original, I don't know. Realistically, what I'm saying is that something that you would buy today for $2,000, which is about on the low end of what you get a piece of Magic art for. Something that you would buy today for $2,000, would it be worth $20,000 in 10 years? I think so. So just like that, if you have the ability to put $2,000 away, in 10 years you'd be making an extra $18,000 in theory. I do think that they're going to go up in value as the market becomes accustomed to limited print runs. People will start looking towards what are the true collectible pieces to Magic art history. I guess, and this is just thinking out loud, what you could do is look up maybe print negatives from baseball cards. The photos that baseball cards are produced from, what happens to their negatives? That's a really good question. If anybody knows, I'd like to know the answer. I understand that these don't get a lot of views, and that's fine. But if you do know, it would save me a Google search, I guess. So that said, the two things that you can do to get ahead of the new NFT and baseballification of Magic the Gathering is buy boxes, War of the Spark and before, buy original Magic art. I think that these things have great potential because the world of Magic is moving towards exclusivity. They will follow the footsteps. They will not be a market leader in this act. They're going to follow the footsteps of baseball. And if you look at baseball and what baseball did, it's a prediction of what's going to happen to us as collectors. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And yeah. Can I turn this off now, Bubble? Yeah? Is that the plan? Is that the plan? Get your butt out of here. Excuse me. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. So the Bronze Age Magic products, like boxes of weather lights, boxes of visions. There you go. Can you go that way or this way, please? It has to be right here. Okay. In case anybody was curious where we filmed our video today, the homeless in Brooklyn, sometimes they come into Prospect Park and they make these shelters. They're pretty much everywhere once you go off the beaten path. These shelters are basically people's homes and where they sleep at night. So if you ever get a chance, please donate. Or, I mean, I want to say give money to somebody on the street. But you have to understand that there are people who really live, sleep, and wake up in a little shack like that, made out of sticks in America.